Chapter 1. Watch Goes to School.
"Look," said Benny. "There's somebody we don't know at our mailbox."
Benny was 6 years old and loved mysteries, even little ones. Watch, the Alden children's dog, barked loudly. Then he raced down the lawn to the mailbox.
"Watch, come back here,"
shouted 12-year-old Jessie. But even though Watch listened to Jessie best of all, he didn't listen now.
"It's a woman,"
said Violet, who was 10 years old and the shyest of the 4 children.
"She's wearing a purple shirt and she's putting something into our mailbox."
Violet loved all shades of purple.
"Let's hurry," said Henry. "She might be afraid of Watch, even though he's just being friendly."
At 14, Henry was the oldest. He felt responsible for his younger brother and sisters. The Aldens hurried down the long path that led to their mailbox, but when they finally got there, they were very surprised. Instead of barking and racing around in circles, Watch was sitting. "Good dog," said the young woman at the mailbox. She had very bright red hair. "Up," she said, and Watch stood, his tongue hanging out. "Good dog," she said again.
"Wow," said Benny. "Watch is doing whatever you tell him to do."
"Does he do what you ask him to do?" the young woman asked.
"Sometimes," said Jessie, "and sometimes not. I'm Jessie Alden," she said.
Then she introduced Henry, Violet, and Benny. "I'm happy to meet you," said the young woman. "I'm Roxanne Sager. Just call me Roxanne."
"What were you doing at our mailbox?" said Benny. "You weren't a mailman."
"No," laughed Roxanne, "I'm not." Then she gave each of the Aldens a bright yellow flyer. Benny could read the headline, which said, "Dog Gone Good."
"It's about a new dog training school,"
said Violet as she read.
"Right here in Greenfield?"
Henry asked. "That's right," said Roxanne. "I've decided to start my own business, a dog training school. I named it Dog Gone Good because I want to help everybody have a doggone good dog."
"You must love dogs,"
said Jessie. "I do," said Roxanne. "And dogs seem to like me, don't you, Watch?" Watch barked happily and wagged his tail. "Maybe you'll decide to bring Watch to dog training class," said Roxanne. "The first one starts this afternoon." She looked at the children. "All 4 of you can come with Watch. That way you can all learn how to ask your dog to behave. And now," she said, "I have a lot more flyers to give out." Roxanne waved goodbye to the Aldens and walked down the road to another mailbox. The children watched her go.
"I love Roxanne's hair,"
said Benny.
"It's so red."
"And her shirt is so purple," said Violet. Jessie asked,
"Did you see how Watch did everything Roxanne asked him to do?"
Jessie looked down at their dog, who looked back up at her. Henry opened the mailbox and took out the mail. The Aldens walked back up the path to the big house where they lived with their grandfather. After their parents had died, Henry, Jessie, Violet, and Benny had run away because they didn't want to stay with their grandfather. They had never met him and thought he was mean. So they hid in the woods and lived in an old boxcar. They found Watch in the woods, too. But their grandfather found them, and it turned out he wasn't mean at all. He brought them to his house to live. He even had the old boxcar moved to his backyard. The children used it as a clubhouse.
"What do you think?" Henry asked. "Should we take Watch to training class?"
"I don't know," said Jessie. "He listens to us most of the time." Violet was still reading the yellow flyer.
"This says that you can help your dog be safe by training it,"
she said.
"It says a well-trained dog won't run out into traffic."
"Or jump on people," said Henry, as he read over Violet's shoulder. Benny was kneeling down, playing with Watch.
"If we take Watch to dog school," said Benny, "we'll get training too."
"Yes," laughed Henry, "so maybe we should all get some dog training." Jessie looked at Watch, who wagged his tail. Watch belonged to all 4 of the Alden children, but he was a bit more Jessie's dog than anybody else's. Jessie thought Watch was perfect the way he was, but maybe a refresher course would make him even more perfect, if that was possible.
"Okay," she admitted. "Maybe Watch could use a tiny reminder."
Watch jumped up and down and barked. Later that afternoon, the 4 children rode their bikes to Doggone Good. Watch came with them, of course. The outside of Doggone Good was newly painted in bright red. The parking lot had space for a dozen cars.
"This is a very yellow bike rack,"
said Benny as they parked their bikes. "And it's shaped like a dog," said Henry as he inspected the wire rack. "Do you know what kind?" he asked his brother.
"It looks like one of those long, low dogs,"
answered Benny. "Those are called dachshunds," said a voice from behind them. Benny and Henry turned to see a tall man wearing white pants, a white shirt, and a white apron. "Hello," he said. "I'm Baker Brooks." Mr. Brooks had a dog with him, and Watch rubbed noses with it. The Aldens introduced themselves. Violet and Benny were looking at Mr. Brooks's dog. It was a big white dog with black spots all over.
"It's a Dalmatian,"
Violet said to Benny.
"Like the dogs that ride on fire trucks,"
said Benny.